this is Jacob from Kinnettic Kreations. Today we have a 2022 CF Moto UForce 1000. We already have a kit and a video out there for the 23 model, but the 22s are different, and actually so are the 21s and older. This video actually covered both of them because the differences from the 21s to the 22s, they just changed one connector that we plug into, so it's not the end of the world. Otherwise the rest of it's identical. So in our kit, you can either get levers or switches. So if you get the lever, this will mount on the column. We have a bracket that fits perfectly on the UForce 1000 column. We have a different one for the 600 and the Z-Forces. It also, of course, comes with hardware to mount it to, and then our module, which plugs right into the lever, and then it also plugs into our front harness, and then the vehicle for the horn, and then your turn signals. And then here's the difference from 21 to 22 is the 21 has a connector that looks like this, and it actually goes back a couple years before that, where the 22 has this, and then also the 21s come with a horn, so you don't need necessarily the horn connector on there. If you get it with switches, the horn's separate. If you get it with the lever, the horn's plugged in on there because we do have the button, so you can use the button on our lever instead of the button that's in the machine already. Yeah, otherwise you can get it with the switches. This plugs into the machine, our front harness just like the other one does, and then the horn is separate because all it does is goes right to the horn. And then of course we have our rear harnesses with the little bullets on them to adapt the taillights, so we take over control of the brake lights. And a lot of people call all the time asking if they can just get these, but unfortunately the way our kits are made versus the CF Moto stuff, we actually plug into the brake switch under the hood. That way we can control the taillights and have blinkers and brake lights, where the flasher that the CF Moto, the factory CF Moto one, it only does blinkers. So if you plug this in, you will lose your brake lights, so that doesn't work. So unfortunately we can't just sell you this and have it work, because you'll lose brake lights, and that's extremely dangerous. And then they come with the front harness. This plugs into our module and then goes to the brake switch. That's how we get the signal for the brakes. And then left and right front ambers. They're labeled, of course, so you know which side is what. And then it comes with a horn and horn adapter. 21s don't come with a horn and horn adapter because the machine already comes with them. And then we have our light options. So for the front, you can get two of these little orange guys. They're 3/4 inches in diameter. They got 3 bright LEDs on them. And then it'll come with a splitter, so you can plug it into one spot on the harness. Or you can get it with 3, come with a 3-way splitter. Otherwise, our smoke light, this comes with the mounting screws for it. It's got 6 LEDs in it. It's pretty bright, and it looks nice. It fits well down here and it blends in. These small ones, you can put them around down here too. They look good. We also have this larger one. It's got 6 LEDs in it. It's really bright. Some machines, it doesn't quite fit aesthetically as well, because it's bigger in diameter. Some people do prefer it though. And then also you get to pick a side marker one. So I always recommend putting a light on the side of the machine up front, so you have better visibility and keeps you from possibly getting hit. So we got a smoked one that can go on the side, this large round one, or you can pick a small round one. So we're going to get into installing this kit. It's pretty straightforward. Installation, I'd say under 2 hours for sure. We can knock them out in 45 minutes to an hour. Tools are minimal. You'll see as we go what tools you need and how to install it step by step. So first we're going to start with the back with our jumpers. Alright, so these plug in line with the taillight. This one plugs right in the taillight, this plugs in the harness. These taillights have 4 wires going to them. You have your ground, you have your ignition, you have your brake circuit, and you got the backup lights. And then there's another wire just chilling up there that plugs into this. So what we do is we plug in line, the brake circuit would go here, that goes away, and then this plugs into the bullet connector, which runs up to the dash wire, or dash connector. So what we do there is we take control of the brake light circuit, so we can turn on the brakes and the turn signals. So what you'll do is fish your arm up here. If you're lucky, you can get this thing down. So I'll bring it down here and show what it looks like. This machine's a 22, so it's not the brand new ones I'm accustomed to working on, but you'll see there's a yellow wire with a bullet, and then there is, it'll either be green or blue or orange. Blue is right, this one's blue, so it's hard to see up in there, but we got a blue bullet connector here that's open, and then our brake light or our tail light connector. So unplug the tail light connector, you just pry up on this tab, and then we will, I'm gonna set you down here. So you got that unplugged, you pry up on this little tab, plug our connector in, and then you'll find one and plug it in. These are both the same left to right. We just put an orange wire and a blue wire in so you can match up the colors. But as long as you don't tap into the yellow one, because yellow is backup lights. Make sure it's up in there. You can just shove this stuff back up in there. Like I said, if you're lucky, you can pull it out enough to work on it. It seems there's no standard at CF Moto on how to zip tie the harnesses back behind this cover. So if you're unlucky, there's a couple bolts you got to pop out to get to it. So I'm going to show you how to do that, even if I don't have to, because some of you will run into it. All right, so to pop this side panel off is pretty easy. There's 3 10mm bolts. You can actually access them right through this little triangle. So, pop them out. 1. There we go. They do like to stay in the hole, so you get them out now or they'll bounce somewhere else later. So we got those 3. And down underneath is one more. Right here in the bottom corner. That one's always a different color for some reason. And then, so we got 1, 2, 3. We have a Phillips here behind your little strap. There is a 10mm here, and up in here, where are they at? Up here. Up here, above the tires, another one. So you want to get these last 2 Phillips out. Pop that one out. Why am I struggling to get it in here today? There it is. So you got them out. That would be loose. So what you want to do is just pop it down like this, and that gives you better access. So you can see what I was talking about with the zip ties. The other side, we could get to this. On this side, it's zip tied. I'll do a shit job of showing you. So once you get this out, you can see how this one is zip tied up here. So sometimes you have to pop this off, sometimes you don't. Clean this off so you can see, but this one's orange, yellow. Here's a taillight connector, so you can just pry up under there and pull out. So plug in, and plug in. There we go. Let's stuff it back in there, and you just have to, this lip has to go up underneath here. Once you get that in, you're good to go. So you can put small Phillips, get started back here. We'll put our other screw back in down here, and the 3 Phillips there, and one more down there. Now the back is done. Like I said, sometimes you're lucky and it'll work like the first one. And then on the next side, it won't be. Some of you will have to do both sides, take the panel off. Some of you can get both sides without doing any work. So CF Moto does a good job of making every machine slightly different, enough where directional videos don't apply to everybody exactly. We've had some Z-Forces that I've gotten called on where they actually pinch the harness and you can't reach your hand up there and get it without taking a whole back end apart. So it's quite exciting to make plug and play kits for these. All right, so we're going to install our lever now. You're going to need your lever, of course, a little bag of hardware. So there's a cap screw with a nut, and then there's a shouldered bolt. For tools, you will need 3/16 Allen wrench, 4mm Allen wrench. You need a 7/16 wrench, and then a 10mm socket wrench, whatever combination you want. Step 1, you gotta pop this pivot bolt out. It's got a 10mm nut on one side. Save the nut. This shoulder bolt comes out. Discard that. Now we'll put our lever on. Shove the pigtail down in the dash for now. We'll start with the shouldered bolt. We'll go through our bracket, through the steering column, and through the gas strut. Then you put the same nut back on that you took off. It's finger tight for now. Now this cap screw will actually go up through the bottom, come out this hole, and go into this bracket. So you'll need your 3/16 Allen wrench, put your bolt on it. Underneath here, right by the lever, or by the gas strut, there's a hole so you can go up. Pops right up there. Then the nut we put in our kit goes on that. Now is where you can tighten that down a little bit. Get a little more torque. The nut is serrated, so you may not need your wrench. It digs into the powder coat on this aluminum bracket. Now you'll need your 4mm Allen wrench for your shoulder bolt below, and tighten it down. Okay. Now the lever is attached, and we'll get on to putting the module in the dash. So next, we're going to put our module in. Goes in the dash, and we'll find all the connectors we need for it in there. I usually pop this cup holder thing out just to get some more room. And then we gotta pull the switch panel out. You gotta pull these out, go straight out the front on the bottom, and on the top, same thing, you just pop it straight out. You gotta be careful, because this one actually, I got 3 out of 4 to stay on. These little white plastic guys will stay in the hole sometimes and pop off, so you wanna pull them out. Make sure your tabs are all straight and snap them back on here. So now we have to get down on the ground. These don't have as big of a hole as the rest. Hands don't fit. Hopefully they cut up. Okay. So then we want to get down here and find this bundle of connectors. So I like to do get a handful of them. You can get them up here. They're easier to see and work with. Maybe. Fuck these things. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I got this out. Go. All right. So what I did was, there's a bundle of connectors hanging down there. They're zip tied to the dash bar. Some were wrapped around and tied on it. I don't know what they do over there, but it gave us a lot more slack. So now I can show you what you're looking for. So in here you'll find these two connectors. They go for your USB port and your cigarette lighter port. You got this connector for your normal or work switch. And then there's 1, 2, got this big guy. We got 2 of these now. Where's the third one? There's one in here somewhere. All right, so far we found 2 of these. On the 23s, they will look like this. On the 22s, they'll be white, but they'll have the same color wires in them. Now, they're labeled. Real nice of them to label them. But, unless you can read Chinese, the labels do you 0 good. So you got 2 of these connectors. The labels are in Chinese, so they don't do any good. What you need to look for is the wire colors. This one has orange, black, brown, doesn't matter. Orange, brown, blue in the top. The top is where your thumb clip would be. So it's not this bottom. This would latch it to something if they mounted it. But the top row you'll have orange, black, and blue. That's the one you want to plug in. Our yellow matches with the orange, our green matches with the blue. This other one has blank, blue, orange. Don't plug into this one. This one's for the hazards, and for whatever reason, they wired them different, and this is even wired different from the newer machines. I don't know what they do. They just randomly decide to do stuff. So this is the one you want to plug into to get the orange is left, the blue is right. So you want them to match up with our yellow and our green. You also need to find the horn plug, which is usually more over here. So we'll leave this plugged in. I'll also take this opportunity I on it. It's hanging right here by the brake switch. Sometimes it's plugged into the back of the switch blank. Sometimes it's just chilling down here. So you want to fish it up as close as you can get it up there. That one's harder to get to. I won't be able to show it to you. But it looks like this, and it won't have orange and light blue wires in it. It's got a light green and light blue wire. It's hard to describe the color. But that one will plug into here. So the single wire just goes to that connector, which we'll get down below, and then this plugs into our lever. So the lever, we fished it through here earlier. So make sure it goes over into this general direction. This is the absolute worst part of this whole kit, so don't be scared, because the rest of it clearly is easy. Just getting to the dash connectors. Go. Perfect. So you'll plug this in, and I'll pull this right back through the dash. And now I'll plug this into the horn connector, which you can't see it, but it's hanging right down here in my hand. Alright, so here's the horn one. It comes from up here, right behind the switches, but it looks the same as the rest. And it has, you can't see the colors, not that it matters. But the horn one always seems to come out in the middle of the cluster that goes by the key switch. So alright, so our module's plugged in. We'll worry about zip tying it to that bar in there later. It's just dangling in there. Next we got to get... Alright, now we're going to get the hood off. Don't pull from up here. There's hooks that hook it here and here. So right here, pop out 1, 2, 3. This little... You push, pull up and push back. As you can see, there's these little hooks. And then you got these little push pins or whatever that stick in the rubber. Alright, we're going to start running our front harness. So this connector we gotta get through the firewall to the module. It's the only thing that has to pass through the firewall. So if you come down here, there's ground up there, but right here, there's a hole that the cable goes through. Alright, so behind the driver's tire, there's this grommet where the harness goes through. What we're going to do is we're going to just trim the tape off. Go. There, now we can get this stretched out a bit. So I got my finger through there right behind the brake pedal. Tight squeeze, but now we're in. So the best spot, unfortunately, to get it through to the inside. So let's pull it snug up there. Now that we're over here, this is for the brake switch. So right down here is the brake cylinder. On the end of it, see if we can get in there and see. On the end of it, there's a little harness coming out. It goes up. You're looking for a gray connector that's only got 4 wires in it. That one's got 6. Follow that lead. They like to tuck a whole bunch of crap up in that same area over here. So you got this connectors for your headlights. There it is. All we want is right there. So sometimes it's actually easier. You pop this fuse box off, you can get your hand on in there, and sometimes it's mounted right below it. We're going to give that a shot. So lift this up, see if that makes life easier or not. That's not it. Like I said before, the way CF Moto zip tie stuff, it may not always be in this exact spot. It should be pretty close because this harness here is taped this way, and usually at harness plants they're all routed the same when they're building them. At least here, we try to have them all be identical. What you want to do is unplug it. There's a little thumb clip. Squeeze it. There we go. So that's the one you're looking for. So what we need to do now is on our front harness, feed this piece up, go around the back side of all those harnesses away from the shock. There it is down here. So now we have our harness. So what we'll do is this plugs in line with that. So all we do is 3 of the wires go straight through, and the 4th one, which is for the brake lights, we tap into. So there's a sonic weld in there that feeds the brake signal to the module through the harness. It's easier with 2 hands, that's for sure. All right, so we have wrong one. We have our harness. We'll plug into this factory connector. So we have our brake switch plugged in down here. Just like that. So like I said, if you go into the fuse box, you just need to find this 4-pin connector. You'll see a lot of similar ones. CF Moto seems to like this series of connector. There's a big like 9-pin or something down there. Both headlights have a 6-pin on the back of it. So that's plugged in. So now that the brake switch is plugged in and we got our harness run through the cab, we are going to focus on our lights. So on this one, we're going to do a smoke light up front here, and we're going to do a round one right about here on the side. Right now we're going to mount our lights. This customer chose our smoke light up front. So what we're going to do first is pop this cover down. So it's got a bunch of those quick rivets. So get you one of these if you're gonna do even one of these machines. It's worth doing. All right, so underneath here, we're gonna pop this bottom cover off. So you got, these are fun when they're clean. They're twice as fun when they're dirty. There we go, 1. 2. There's a third one right here. 3, and then there's a 4th one. So we have underneath here we got 1, 2, 3. There's a 4th one way back here. There we go. This pops out. Now, one thing you'll find is the horn plug is somewhere on this thing. Here it is. So this is for the horn. It's hard to see from that angle, but it'll be black with a white insert with a black connector in it. So what you want to do, you want to pry up on the tab and pop that connector out. This one's stuck in there good with all that dirt. There we go. And our horn adapter harness will plug into that. I'll leave that alone for now. We'll find a spot to mount the horn. Right now I was concerned about doing the lights. So we want our strip light up here. What you always want to do though is make sure wherever you're going to drill through, there's nothing in the way. So we got these ribs here, so we'll make sure that we try not to drill through a rib, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. It just makes it a little bit more difficult to put the cable through for the light. So we'll do one, try to drill right in there. Might hit it from the back side first. And then the other one we'll put one right here underneath the moto. And we'll do the same on the other side. There's spot marks, we'll center it up and down. So for our smoke lights, the hole only has to be big enough for this connector to go through. 5/8 seems to be the magic number for that. In front of these, it's actually 2 layers of plastic. So you don't want to drill the front hole too big, or you'll see it past the gasket. So get that one in. On the side here, there is there's nothing in the way right here under the O, so we'll go into the O. Got a little bit. Now I got one set of holes drilled. Now I have to take a tape measure and make sure I get same dimensions on both sides. So there's a vertical here, we'll go straight above that. So just 3 7/8, and from the bottom we're up 1 1/8. 1 1/8, 3 7/8. Front. From the top, I'm at 6 1/4 to the center. and we're centered up and down. 6 1/4. So mark those holes, now I can send this one through. It's 3/4 inch set bit. The big lights take a 3/4 inch hole, so I can go straight through it. Put the connector through, you gotta pop this gasket off, grommet, whatever you want to call it. Shove that in. There's the light. Do the same on the other side. For smoke lights, we send them with a bag of 5 screws, so you can drop one if you want. So they take a number 1 Phillips bit. They fit right in these holes. So we'll center it up and down. One side going, other side. With these, they got a foam gasket, so you don't have to reef them down to the plastic. And there you go. So what we got to do is we take our front harness, find the left side, 2 plugs, plug them in. Doesn't matter which one goes where, because they are spliced together internally. And then for the right, we will have to shoot this across behind all this crap so we can reach the other side. And we still got to pop the bottom cover off over here. And now we sent our front harness over from the other side. We got it plugged in, so we'll zip tie this up to the, probably up to, yeah, I'll zip tie it up to this drip down hose from, it's like the coolant overflow. Keep it up away from the shock, but that cover comes up underneath here, and that'll do wonders for that. Last but not least, under the hood, we have our horn. I'll plug this in, it's pretty easy. Just need to put the spades on, does not matter which order they go, the polarity doesn't affect anything. Just want to make sure the spade goes over the tab. If you go on either side of it, it'll still pinch in there, and then you won't have a horn. So, let's see, where's a good spot down here? We'll do that. Okay, so we're gonna go on, oops. So we're gonna attach this to the upper fan shroud bolt on the back of the radiator. It's just right there. I'll keep the horn kind of up higher. So we've got the horn mounted to this bolt right up here. So it's out of the way. Tuck the harness back up here because it's covered. We'll attach to this tab. And we'll get this harness, we'll zip tie it up to this cluster up here. And we'll get our cover back in, and then we're actually all done up front, and all we have left is a little bit inside the dash to hook that front harness up to our module and then zip tie stuff up out of the way there. All right, so this side we got it all zip tied in here. We got this harness zip tied to this cable, harness to the back of the cluster here. We got this up to here. We'll throw this cover back in, go zip tie up the other side. I'll go back inside for the rest of it. So alright, so that side's done. Come zip tie this side. All you guys can see up in there if this is even going to be part of the video or not. So we zip tied to this headlight harness here, and then instead of possibly pinching off this coolant overflow, we zip tied to the harness here, and then it goes back there where it's safe from anything. We'll slap this cover back in. When you're putting these on, pay attention to these like lips. This lip will actually fit up underneath here, but this bracket will go under. Kind of just sits up in there. You got one. No, 2, 3, 4. Right. Totally done up front. Not sure how much you'll see in here. It's all underneath, but here's that front harness. We need to route it. Plugged into our module. Before we button all this up, we'll test it. We'll see how this works. Alright, key on. Horn. That works. Right. Works in the dash. Our lights come on as running lights, so they're always on. You got the right side flashing, tail lights flashing, and now we'll switch left, left, left tail lights flashing. We'll do hazards, so hazards are going. Make sure I get the taillights in there. And then of course, you press the brakes. They're still flashing. Cancel your hazards. So the brakes are on. You can kind of see, if I turn off the lights in here, I have a helper right now to hit the brakes for me. Alright. So hit the brakes. Brakes come on. You see left is canceling and flashing like a car would. And right. So that's why you can't just order the taillight adapters, because the CF Moto relay flasher does not. Oh, one thing I forgot on these is this little cubby pops out. Would have been handy when I was doing all this, because now I can actually see all the stuff down here. Fucking plug in the fucking light. With this cubby out, you can actually see everything. So here is the horn connector. You see it kind of goes up on the key switch. So it's got that light blue greenish wire. Then you've got these two connectors down here that we can plug into. The one that's wrong, which does not have the blue and yellow or blue and orange wires on the corners, and the correct one. But popping out this cubby makes life a lot easier, because you can get down here and get at it without crawling on the ground like I was doing.